They told you silence was weakness. They told you that the loudest voice in the room wins. They told you that if you're not constantly seen, you'll be forgotten. But they never told you the truth, that the most dangerous storms make no sound until they strike. The world rushes. It glorifies noise, demands speed, rewards the performance of confidence even when the soul is empty. But there is another kind of power, a quiet power that does not beg for the stage, that does not clamor for applause. It moves like the deep ocean, invisible to the surface, yet capable of shifting continents. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Introverts understand this privilege, not as a luxury, but as a necessity. You're not here to mimic the volume of others. You're here to tune into the frequency of your own soul. And when you speak from that place, the world will feel it in its bones. Your silence is not emptiness. It is a forge. Inside it, you are melting the raw ore of experience, hammering it into weapons the world cannot see, until you decide to wield them. The crowd may think you are still, but the stillness of the archer is not the stillness of inaction. It is the stillness before the arrow flies. You felt it before. That pull to observe rather than react, to study rather than interrupt, to listen so deeply that you can hear the tremors in someone's voice, the unspoken weight behind their words. This is not passivity. This is mastery. And mastery, unlike charisma, cannot be faked. In ancient Japan, samurai trained not just in swordsmanship, but in the art of presence. They could stand unmoving for hours, waiting for the right moment to act. This patience was their advantage, a weapon honed sharper than steel. You too carry such a weapon. You do not need to move at the speed of noise. You need to move at the speed of precision. There's a reason the tiger stalks before it strikes. A reason the wise king speaks last in the council. A reason the sculptor spends more time in thought than in carving. The modern world misunderstands introverts because it misunderstands the nature of influence. Influence isn't how many hear you. It's how deeply they remember what you said. The words that echo longest are rarely the ones shouted. But there is a danger here, a trap for those who carry silence like a shield. If you wait too long, your silence becomes a prison. If you listen without ever speaking, your insight remains a seed that never breaks the soil. This is where courage comes in. The courage to emerge when it matters. The courage to act when the moment arrives. Because your silence is not meant to be permanent. It is meant to be preparation. There was a time in history when Galileo stood before a court that demanded he deny what he knew to be true, that the earth moves around the sun. Surrounded by authority, bound by political pressure, he whispered the words, "History will never forget, eppur si muove." And yet it moves. He did not need to shout. His truth did the shouting for him. You carry truths like that. The kind the world is not ready for until it hears them from someone who has earned the right to speak. And you earn that right in the shadows, through the hours no one applauds, through the study no one sees, through the discipline that shapes you when the crowd is absent. Do not mistake the absence of noise for the absence of progress. Do not mistake your reflection for your limit. Do not mistake the waiting for wasting, because when you finally step forward, when the arrow leaves the bow, when the tiger leaps, when the truth escapes your lips, you will not need to explain yourself. The impact will explain you. You may wonder why this world feels so alien, why the constant networking, the small talk, the performance of extroversion drains you. It is because your energy is not meant to be scattered in 100 shallow streams. It is meant to flow deep, to carve canyons into the minds and hearts of those who truly matter. Introverts live in a world of roots, while others live in a world of leaves. Leaves catch the sunlight, flutter in the wind, and draw attention. Roots move unseen, but they hold the entire tree in place. Without them, the leaves are nothing but decoration. Here's the truth. No one tells you. You don't need to change your nature to thrive in this world. You need to master it. And mastery begins with awareness. Ask yourself, what do you notice that others overlook? What patterns do you see in the chaos? What truths whisper to you in solitude? Because these are your raw materials. This is the clay you have been given. And if you do not shape it, someone else will shape the world for you. Remember this: the mind that moves slow but deep will always outlast the mind that moves fast but shallow. The river that cuts through rock does so not by force, but by persistence. And the world underestimates persistence until it's standing in front of a canyon. When Leonardo da Vinci was asked why he spent so long studying anatomy, dissecting corpses in the cold, sketching endlessly before painting, he said, "You cannot love what you do not understand." His genius was not in his speed, but in his depth. He could see the invisible lines beneath the visible world, the ligaments beneath the skin, the geometry beneath the painting, the truth beneath the illusion. This is your gift, too. You see beneath, you hear beneath, you think beneath. And in a shallow world, depth is revolution. But revolution requires more than perception. It requires transformation. And transformation demands that you stop apologizing for your nature. Stop apologizing for needing solitude. Stop apologizing for not joining every conversation, every party, every performance of energy. Your life is not a stage for constant display. It is a forge for rare fire. I will tell you something dangerous now. The moment you stop apologizing for your quiet, you will scare people, because they will sense that you're no longer playing their game. And those who cannot control you will try to convince you that you are wrong. But you are not wrong. You are simply learning the secret language of your own mind. And here is the first word in that language: choice. You choose where your energy goes. You choose who gets your voice. You choose when to step forward and when to remain in the shadows. This is not weakness. This is sovereignty. Think of the chess master. They do not move every piece frantically across the board. They move with intention. They sacrifice willingly when it serves the greater plan. And they win not by being everywhere at once, but by being in the right place at the right time with the right move. Your life is the same. You do not need to answer every call. You do not need to fight every battle. You need to master the art of decisive emergence. And when you do, when you step out of the quiet and into the light, the world will not know what happened. They will only know that something has shifted, and it began with you. The loud will not understand how you became so unshakable. They will not see the years you spent in the furnace of your own thoughts, refining your beliefs until they were sharper than steel. They will not see the hours you spent walking alone, replaying your failures in your mind, extracting lessons like a miner pulls gold from stone. And maybe they don't need to see, because the oak tree does not explain to the saplings how it grew tall. It simply stands, and its presence says everything. There will come a moment, and you will feel it in your bones, when the world will try to pull you out of your depth and into its chaos. It will demand your reaction, your outrage, your instant answer. This is the test to see if you can remain anchored in your inner ocean while the waves crash against you. In that moment, you must remember, still water reflects truth more clearly than rushing water. When you slow down, you see the ripples of cause and effect. You see the forces at play that others miss in their panic. This is why your voice, when you finally use it, will carry such weight, because it comes from clarity, not noise. The philosopher Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The introvert knows this instinctively. You have walked the corridors of your mind enough times to see how fear builds illusions, how anxiety magnifies shadows. And because you've seen it, you know that action grounded in truth cuts through those illusions like light through fog. But clarity without courage is like an unlit torch. It has the potential to guide, yet leaves the path in darkness. So you must light it. You must risk the vulnerability of being seen. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is exposure to truth. When you speak from your depths, you invite the possibility of misunderstanding, even rejection. But you also invite connection of the rarest kind, the kind that does not fade when the party ends, the kind that lingers in the mind like a haunting melody. This is the paradox of the introvert's power. It grows in solitude but proves itself in connection. Look at history. Abraham Lincoln was not a man of flamboyant speeches in his early years. He was awkward, reserved, prone to deep melancholy. But it was precisely this capacity for deep thought that made his words, when they finally came, impossible to ignore. His Gettysburg Address was barely 2 minutes long, yet it still echoes through time, not because of its length, not because of its volume, but because of its truth. This is your model, not the endless performance of importance, but the focused delivery of meaning. But there is another danger, one far more subtle, the comfort of invisibility. It is easy to remain hidden when the world misreads your silence as weakness. It becomes a shelter, but also a cage. You must decide when that cage has served its purpose. You must be willing to step out, not because you crave attention, but because your message demands it. You are not here to play small so that others feel comfortable. You're not here to dilute your essence for fear of standing apart. Greatness requires separation, and separation often looks like loneliness in the beginning. When Michelangelo was asked how he created the statue of David, he said, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." That is the work of an introvert, carving away everything false, unnecessary, and shallow until only the essential remains. The angel within you is not found through constant exposure to the world. It is found in the patient, relentless sculpting of your soul. But sculpting is only half the story. The other half is placement. A masterpiece locked in a cellar changes nothing. It must be placed where its light can reach others. You must choose your moments to emerge, not all at once, not for everyone, but for the ones who are ready to see. And when you emerge, emerge fully. Do not water down your conviction to make it palatable. Do not wrap your truth in layers of apology. Speak it as it is, raw and unflinching. Because diluted truth dies before it can change anything. You may think, but what if I am not ready? Here's the truth. No one ever feels ready. Readiness is a myth the world tells to keep you waiting. The bridge between preparation and action is not certainty, but decision. Decision is the moment you stop collecting more arrows and finally draw the bow. And here's the beauty of your position. Because you do not squander your energy on endless displays, you have more power stored than you realize. You have reservoirs of focus and insight that, once unleashed, can cut through years of noise in a single sentence. Remember this: the deepest wells make no sound until the rope drops in. The moment someone reaches for your insight, you have the ability to give them water they didn't know they were dying for. But for that to happen, you must believe that what you carry is worth drawing up. Self-belief is not built in crowds. It is forged in the lonely hours when no one is watching, when you face the unfiltered truth about yourself. It is in these hours that you ask, who am I when no one demands my performance? What do I stand for when no one is clapping? And your answers, these raw, unpolished truths, are the roots that will keep you standing when the storms come. There will always be storms. The storm of criticism, when your quiet nature is misunderstood as coldness. The storm of doubt, when you question whether your path is too slow in a fast world. The storm of temptation, when you're lured into speaking just to be heard rather than to say something that matters. But storms serve a purpose. They strip the branches of what is weak, leaving only what is strong enough to bear fruit. Do not fear them. Stand through them. Let them shape you. And when you emerge after the storm, soaked, perhaps battered, you will find that the world looks different because you have changed, and those who have changed can never again live as they once did. There's a saying in the Taoist tradition, "He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know." It is not an absolute truth, but a reminder. Speak less, But when you do, speak from knowing. Let your words carry the weight of lived experience, not borrowed opinions. Let them be arrows carved from your own trials, not plastic replicas copied from others. And if you fear being misunderstood, accept it. Every great voice in history was misunderstood before it was revered. Your task is not to avoid misinterpretation, but to endure it without bending into someone else's shape. Because here's the most important thing. The secret language of introverts is not meant to remain a secret forever. It is meant to be learned, mastered, and then spoken in such a way that it becomes a bridge for others. You are not alone in your depth, but others will never know unless you signal to them that the deep waters are safe to enter. And maybe, just maybe, the world is starving for the very perspective you've been hiding. Not the loud, easy answers, not the rehearsed optimism, but the grounded, unshakable truth that comes from someone who has walked through their own shadows and returned with light. The greatest danger for the quiet soul is not failure, it is erosion. Not the sudden collapse, but the slow wearing away of belief, the subtle convincing that your way is less than, simply because it is different. The world will try to erode you with its pace, with its noise, with its endless insistence that you must match its rhythm or be left behind. But water does not erode stone by matching its speed. It erodes by persistence, by flowing as it is, day after day, until even the mountain bows. You must learn to honor your own current. Your pace is not a weakness. It is the precision of the archer, the patience of the astronomer waiting for the exact moment a star emerges from behind a veil of clouds. Rushed eyes never see it. Rushed hands never hold it. Rushed minds never understand it. You may feel the pull, that restless urge to be everywhere, to do everything, to match the energy of those who seem to win by sheer force of presence. But the truth is, presence is not about being in many places. It's about being in the right place with all of you. You've seen it before. The person who speaks rarely, but when they do, the room stops breathing. That is not an accident. That is the byproduct of alignment, of inner conviction meeting the right moment. If you speak without alignment, you scatter yourself. If you wait for alignment, you concentrate yourself. And concentration is force. History favors those who act from that concentrated force. Think of Rosa Parks, a single act of refusal that set fire to an entire movement. She did not yell, she did not wave banners in that moment, she simply did not move. Her quiet resistance spoke louder than 1,000 speeches because it was pure alignment. Her belief, her moment, her action, all one. You may think your power lies in what you will say someday, but more often your power lies in what you refuse to accept today. The lines you will not cross, the roles you will not play, the masks you will not wear. Because every time you betray yourself for acceptance, you weaken the voice you've been shaping in the dark. And every time you stand in your truth, even when no one notices, you sharpen it. There's a scene that plays in my mind when I think about the quiet strength of introverts. A blacksmith in a dim forge, hammering steel by firelight. Outside, the world is noisy, traders shouting, horses clattering, gossip spilling through the streets. But in that small forge, the hammer falls in perfect rhythm. He knows that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, the sword is shaped in stillness. And when it is done, the world will feel its edge. That's you. Your stillness is your forge. Your solitude is not a void. It is a workshop. And the world will one day feel what you have been shaping here. But let me be clear. Solitude is not isolation. Isolation drains you. Solitude restores you. The difference is intention. When you withdraw to avoid life, you shrink. When you withdraw to strengthen your life, you grow. This is why you must guard your solitude like a king guards his crown. Not every knock at your door deserves to be answered. Not every voice in your ear deserves to be let in. Your inner world is your capital. And if you let every traveler set up camp there, you will find your resources burned before your own vision is built. Learn to say no, not out of bitterness, but out of devotion to your purpose. Because here's a truth most will never tell you. Every yes you give is a no to something else. And if you're not careful, you will spend your life saying yes to what depletes you and no to what could have made you whole. But saying no takes courage, the kind of courage that grows in the soil of self-worth. You must know that your time, your energy, your presence are not just valuable, they are sacred. And sacred things are not handed out at random. This is where the modern world gets it wrong. It celebrates openness without discernment, sharing without boundaries, connection without depth. But without boundaries, connection rots into dependency. Without depth, openness becomes performance. Jung understood this when he spoke of individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating the parts of ourselves we have hidden or denied. For the introvert, this means not only embracing the quiet, the reflective, the inward, but also reclaiming the courage to bring it outward when the time is right. Do not misunderstand. Becoming whole does not mean becoming loud. It means becoming undivided. It means that the self you are in silence and the self you are in the world become the same person. No masks, no split between inner and outer life. The world will sense this wholeness in you. And wholeness is magnetic. People will not always understand you, but they will be drawn to you without knowing why. It will not be because you entertain them, but because you stabilize them. In your presence, they will feel their own chaos start to settle, their own thoughts begin to clear. They may not say it out loud, but they will think, this person is different, and they will be right. Because while the world rushes to speak, you have learned to listen. While others chase every fleeting opportunity, you have learned to wait for the right one. While others burn out in the noise, you burn steady in the quiet. But this steadiness does not come for free. It demands discipline, the kind of discipline that makes no headlines but changes everything. The discipline to keep your mind sharp when no one is testing it. The discipline to keep your word to yourself when no one is watching. The discipline to rise from bed, not because you feel like it, but because your purpose demands it. And discipline, when married to vision, becomes destiny. Vision is the map, discipline is the journey, and your nature, the quiet, deep, observant nature, is the compass that keeps you from being led astray by every shout and signal from the crowd. You will be tempted to trade this compass for a louder one, a shinier one that promises faster results. But every time you do, you will drift. You will find yourself in places that feel wrong, chasing things that don't matter, wondering how you got so far from yourself. And the way back will always be the same. Silence, reflection, honesty. Sit alone. Ask yourself the questions others are too busy to ask. What am I building that will outlast me? What am I giving that costs me nothing? And is it worth anything? What am I refusing to face because it's easier to stay comfortable? The answers will not come all at once. They will come like dawn, slowly, softly, revealing one thing at a time. But they will come. And when they do, they will carry the force of truth, the kind of truth that does not just inform, but transforms. And transformation is the real point here. Not performing, not fitting in, not even being understood. Transformation is the quiet revolution you were made for. Because when you transform, you stop needing the world's permission to exist as you are. And when you stop needing permission, you begin to live with a freedom so rare, it frightens those who still live in cages. Freedom is not the absence of restraint. It is the presence of alignment. It is knowing that every step you take is yours, not borrowed from the expectations of another. It is walking into a room and not adjusting your soul to fit its mood. And here's the thing about freedom. Once you taste it, you cannot go back. You cannot return to the shallow performances you once tolerated. You cannot pretend to be small just to make others comfortable. You cannot unknow the truth of who you are. But freedom will test you. It will strip away your excuses. It will ask you to stand alone when the crowd turns away. And in those moments, the quiet strength you've been building will prove its worth. Because here is the final revelation of the introvert's path. Your power is not in avoiding the world. It is in facing it as you truly are. It is in stepping forward without disguising your depth, without speeding up your rhythm, without shouting over the noise. It is in letting your presence speak for itself. Think of the lighthouse. It does not chase ships, does not shout instructions across the sea. It stands where it is, shining with steady, unbroken light. And because it is steady, because it is consistent, the lost find their way. You are a lighthouse. Your stillness is not passivity, it is guidance. Your quiet is not emptiness, it is clarity. Your depth is not distance, it is safety. But light is useless if it is never lit. You can have all the wisdom in the world, but if you never let it be seen, it will die in your chest. You must risk being visible, not constantly, not for everyone, but when it matters most. There will be moments when you feel the old instinct to retreat, to wait for more certainty, more readiness, more proof that you're needed. But the truth is, the call will come when you still feel unprepared, and that is when you must move. Because what the world needs from you is not perfection, it is authenticity under pressure. Leonardo da Vinci once wrote, "Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." For the introvert, this is law. You are not here to complicate your message with unnecessary noise. You are here to strip away everything until only the truth remains, sharp, clean, unforgettable. And when you deliver it without apology. The modern world has made a religion of constant exposure. It rewards the loud, the impulsive, the ever-present. But history remembers those who spoke rarely and meant it. Those who built in obscurity until the moment their work stood so tall, the world could not look away. Your life can be that work. And understand this, you're not here to compete with the noise. You are here to outlast it. Noise rises fast and dies faster. Depth rises slowly and endures. The oak does not envy the wildflower that blooms in a week. It knows it is building something. Storms cannot uproot. Do not be fooled by the speed of others. Speed is only power if the direction is true. Otherwise, it is just movement. And movement without meaning is the slowest death of all. So guard your direction. Feed your mind with what sharpens it. Fill your time with what strengthens you. Surround yourself with those who see the value of your pace, your thought, your depth. And when the day comes that your voice is needed, do not hesitate. Speak as one who has been preparing for this moment all their life. Because you have. Every hour of reflection, every page you've read, every conversation you listened to more than you spoke, it was all sharpening the arrow you now hold in your hand. Release it, and when it strikes, it will not be forgotten. Because the truth is, the secret language of introverts is not made of words alone. It is made of presence, of integrity, of a life lived so deliberately that even your silence teaches. It is the way you carry yourself when no one is watching. It is the way you honor your own mind in a world that tries to sell you someone else's. It is the unshakable calm in your chest when others are swept away by chaos. This is your legacy, not noise, not endless motion, but an impact so deep it moves unseen until the day it surfaces and the world realizes the ground beneath it has shifted, and maybe they will never fully understand you. Maybe your way will always be a little foreign to those who live for the spotlight, but you do not need their understanding, only your own. Because a life spent chasing understanding is a life spent away from your post. And your post is here, at the edge of the world's noise, holding steady. So hold steady. Hold steady when they rush past you. Hold steady when they tell you you're too slow. Hold steady when doubt whispers that you're missing your chance. Because you are not missing it. You are shaping it. And when it arrives, it will fit you like it was made for you, because it was. The crowd will not remember the countless loud voices that demanded their attention, but they will remember the one quiet voice that reached them when it mattered most. Be that voice. Be the one who speaks not to fill silence, but to change the air. Be the one who acts not to be seen, but because the action is right. Be the one whose life, even in its stillness, is a compass for those who are lost. In the end, you will not measure your worth by the number of people who saw you, but by the number of lives that were different because you stood where you were meant to stand. And you will know, in the quiet of your own mind, that you live true. That is the language. That is the power. That is the freedom. So step forward, not to join the noise, but to rise above it. Step forward, not to be everywhere, but to be exactly where you are needed. Step forward, because the world needs the depth you've been hiding, and you are ready to speak.